So this week I'm talking about creating organisational culture post-COVID, and today referencing a piece of research that we at 4i commissioned earlier this year that identified 4 specific organisational cultural challenges and how the organisations that we've worked with have essentially identified and tried to move beyond these. So the 4 challenges very quickly were scarcity-based thinking, a fear-based culture, a lack of agility, and cultural disintegration, which is essentially an excessive separation of senior leadership from the sort of the operational business. So I've seen clients wrestling with these challenges for years, and I've worked in organizations which have been struggling with them as well. And on each of these occasions, and I'll talk more about my personal experience tomorrow, but on all of the client examples, instances, this single thing which made a difference was leadership. Not the leader, of course, they have a role to play, but leadership collectively. You know, I love the notion of a groundswell and of everything starting from the bottom up, but particularly if you're living in a fear-based culture, believe me, that groundswell is either never going to start or it's not going to get very far. But you need the leaders that are, you know, in the sort of the middle, as well as the leaders at the top, and arguably as much, if not more so, those that are in the middle of a classic organizational hierarchy. Those are the ones that activate and become the catalysts and champions for change in particularly fear-based cultures, but also scarcity-based thinking influenced ones, and ones where there's cultural disintegration as well. So, I mean, you can see in this piece of research, and I'll just reference a couple of examples from it, you know, how pronounced these impacts can be. I'll include the link to the article, which is in our Medium publication, Leading Forward. So if you're interested, you can go and read it at length there. And Susie's done a fantastic job in putting this piece of research together in a very absorbable way. So she references a conversation with a managing director of a business in Singapore. And they specifically said that one of the key challenges that they've had is essentially bringing all of the senior leadership at a global level to the same table. Just literally getting people onto the same page. This was pre-COVID, so not physically necessarily, but just actually being able to align perspectives and values. That was debilitating to their decision making and their ability to grow as a business. So that would reflect cultural disintegration. Another managing director was referenced that was locally here in Australia, and he essentially talked about just a complete lack of understanding of what the organization's mandate was from the global level. There's just a complete separation of communication between the global organizational perspective and the local business unit one, and how debilitating that was for planning and actually deploying and executing the strategy. Another conversation that was had, or an interview I should say that was had, was with a partner of a global management consulting firm. And what they were talking about really was a fear-based culture, one where the incredibly bright and capable people that they employed to develop new ways of thinking and new models for performance were essentially too afraid to put them forward for fear that they'd be slapped down, or perhaps it might be, you know, an assault on somebody's ego. And the list just went on and on and on. I mean, and the challenge that we see really is, are leaders themselves ready to change? Are they ready to do the work themselves, recognize that the change needs to come from and through them, and tackle these challenges head on? Now, I'd really be interested in your thoughts on this. From my view, I think if a leader can't change, then the organization never will. And certainly all of the good that I found in my own work, which I'll reflect on more detail tomorrow, has really come as I have recognized the need for me to change, and for me to adopt new habits, new practices, new methodologies, and constantly learn and refine what I do. But I don't see leaders doing this often enough, especially at the most senior level. I'd love to hear your thoughts, as I said, on this, so please add some comments and let me know what your view is on this.